I received a review copy of Hiroba from the publisher, so thanks to Hachette Board Games UK. Competitive, multiplayer Sudoko in a serene Japanese garden. That's the hook. I'm Adam Porter. I design games and I review them on this channel with a focus on product design. So if you like what I do, please subscribe, comment and share the video. Hiroba is a 2022 abstract area control game for 2 to 4 players, designed by Johan Benguto, Alexandre Droit and Bertrand Roux, and published by French publisher Funny Fox. A selection of randomised tiles are laid out to create a grid. Each player has a selection of pebbles numbered 1 to 9 with an alternate number on the reverse. The two sides always add up to 10. And on your turn, you place a pebble onto the grid, always in the same row or column as one of your previously placed pebbles, and using the side of your choice. The following Sudoku-inspired restrictions apply. A number can never be duplicated in the same row or column or garden represented by the individual sections on the tiles. Depending on the turn order, players may have a stone available to place once or twice in the game, and these are pieces played at the end of your turn to block access to any square on the grid. At the end of the game, players check the squares adjacent to each koi pond, and each player with pebbles in these squares adds up the numbers on their pebbles, and the player with the lowest total gains a koi token, which they can immediately place into an empty space in any of the gardens, doubling the points available for that section of the grid. Players then add up the numbers on their pebbles within each garden, and the player with the highest total scores points equal to the number of squares in the garden. And if there's a koi token, these points are doubled. The highest scorer wins. Our customer journey begins with outward appearances, and this is an attractive package. The small box is minimalist in its design, but it sets out its stall. Numbers, grids, and koi ponds. I always advocate for board games using their cover images to tell us what we're going to be doing and how we're going to feel. This box is a great example. Onboarding is simple. The rulebook is clear and to the point with no ambiguities. The only stumbling block I could see here is for regular Sudoku players who might be surprised by the rule allowing duplicate numbers within a 3x3 tile, though not within the individual garden. That rule is highlighted in the rulebook specifically because it's contrary to the standard rules of Sudoku, so it's not a major hurdle. I rate games using my own ladder engagement system, and a game scores 0 to 3 points in 5 categories, with each point climbing the game 1 rung up the ladder. A total of 10 or above reaches the highest rung and indicates a real favourite with me. Hiroba has no narrative. The Japanese garden backdrop is appropriate given the Sudoku-inspired gameplay, but make no mistake, this is an abstract strategy game with no thematic immersion. And as with most abstract strategy games, Hiroba is highly interactive. Players compete for control of the gardens and koi ponds, and every move by an opponent impacts on your own progress. Unlike many abstract strategy games, here we're not limited to a head-to-head competition. Hiroba can be played by 2, 3 or 4 players, and inevitably the experience changes with each player count, with the 2-player head-to-head allowing more precise calculations from turn to turn, and the 4-player game being more reactive with a significantly altered board state every time your turn comes around. I'm not awarding the maximum 3 points because the interaction in Hiroba is all on the table. There's not much scope here for discussion and negotiation and bargaining and plotting. It's a quiet, cerebral game. For stress and tension, the game scores high. Your plans will get messed up frequently, and you'll find yourself hoping desperately that your opponents don't spot your strategy so they can't interfere. Feedback refers to the ways in which the game itself responds to your input. Rewards in the form of in-game scoring, accumulation of resources or special abilities. Hiroba really offers little feedback, except for the neat system of scoring the koi ponds. Winning one of these tokens allows you to double the score of one of your gardens. The feedback is delayed until game end, which prevents me scoring Hiroba highly. Finally, meaningful choices make or break an abstract strategy game, and this one is full of them. The clever decision to allow players to use either side of each pebble, a high number or a low number, creates some really engaging dilemmas. This is coupled with two different forms of competition. Score low in the spaces adjacent to koi ponds, score high in the gardens, and the competing objectives, coupled with the Sudoko placement restrictions, create a challenging puzzle. There are also opportunities to scupper your opponents by using your rock tiles to block desirable squares in the grid. It's particularly satisfying to fill in the final space in a garden, preventing your opponent placing a koi token there to double their score. The overall score of 9 is impressive, stopping one rung short of the top of the ladder and indicating a really engaging game. Moving on to my product design checklist, is the game innovative? Well, no, not really. It's an attempt at turning Sudoko into a multiplayer board game, and it's very successful at doing so, but I'm not sure there's any huge spark of inspiration here. Which brings me on to the next question. Is there a need for a product like this? And here, I'm a bit torn. I'm trying to place Hiroba in the market, and it's challenging. It certainly doesn't sit in the hobby market. I must admit, it took a long time for me to get Hiroba to the table. Other shinier titles kept pushing it to the back of the queue, and my fellow gamers never selected Hiroba when I offered up a selection of options for them to consider. That said, I could see Hiroba occupying the shelf of a bookstore or a gift shop or in an airport. It looks smart and sophisticated, and it's going to appeal to puzzle fans, which is a massive alternate market for a board game publisher to tap into. Will the product grow with its user? Well, as with most perfect information abstract games, there is scope here to master the strategy with repeated plays. If a player selected this as their abstract game of choice and committed to repeated plays over a long period with similarly committed opponents, I think it has depth and it could offer up long-term enjoyment. But that's true of many abstract strategy games, and frankly, Go and chess have that scene pretty much wrapped up. Hiroba is a worthy alternative to Yinch and Quarto, Shobu and Camisado, all of which deserve years of study and exploration which they'll never realistically receive. On my idea execution matrix, exceptional commercial products sit in the orange-red section at the top right of the grid, with more limited products sitting in the opposite corner. Hiroba is a fairly predictable idea. Take a hugely popular puzzle, turn it into a multiplayer game. But it is executed extremely well. The rules are easy to understand, but the core dilemmas presented are very engaging. It sits in the green-yellow section, which is not a bad place to be. A solid little title, which many will love, but sadly a lot of gamers are likely to overlook. For a thorough guide to abstract strategy games, follow the link.